What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the third episode of Into the Comiverse. And I'm going to just get right into it. I hope everybody's having a beautiful day. And I want to thank everybody for watching. And I want to thank everybody who's watching this on the replay. Your support is appreciated, and I love you all. So, first, let me get to somebody sitting in the back across the pond. We got Dr. Von Hoot himself from the Spiral Dimension. How you doing, Doctor? Are you on there?
I'm muted. What a fool. I muted myself. How you doing, buddy? All right?
I'm doing great, man. Doing great.
Tremendous.
Had a fun week. Last weekend I was in Illinois with the family, so we didn't do a show. And but I had a good time, and I've been itching to get back on here and do another episode and hang out with all y'all fine folk.
Yeah, the lives are fun, aren't they? Like I'm pretty new to them too, but they're good laugh.
I'm considering them a learning experience. Well, I'm gonna pop right up to the chat, and right up the top we have from New York, Mr. Brian LCS. We got my buddy Tim. We got Brian again. We got Mr. Wellbore himself. Hey, Wellbore. We got KBDM. And we got Sector 2815.
Evening, Paul.
And that is it for
Beckerman's
now. Oh, wait.
Up.
Yep, we got Beckerman. Hey, Beckerman. How you doing?
Awesome.
So, well, tonight's topic here in a little bit, we'll have I don't know if this is a loaded topic or not. It may be, but I wanted to discuss whether or not movies or television shows should have an effect on the overall price of a comic when you go into your LCS or wherever to buy books. Should they, cause the books to go up, or should the actual book itself be the reason why the book's worth what it is? So I think that'll be interesting. But I'm going to go ahead and start off, and I'll try to make myself big here in a second. And
steady, Tony. Friendly show.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot. So I'm going to show my pickups for New Comic Book Day. And to be honest, it's mostly this is my stack, and only 4 of them are new. So I got this variant of Spawn 343.
Oh, that's nice.
And I don't know who did it, but I really liked it.
Is 343 the new book? Like that's where they are at the moment with Storm.
Yeah, it came out. I believe it came out last week. I don't think we got any Spawn this week.
Okay.
Then I got Amazing Spider-Man 29. I actually read this today and was surprised that it was actually good.
Oh wow! Well, that's refreshing to hear.
Yeah,
I'm not going to pretend I'm going to read it, but that's.
Well, the artwork's pretty good. They got Ed McGuinness doing the art. I'm going to try to find something. Possible spoilers. We may see a change in Norman. I'm not going to go any further than that, but I'll show you this picture. I don't know if you're keeping up with the story or if anybody in the chat's keeping up with the story, but there's this thing going on where Ox got new tentacles, and the old tentacles have become like a life of its own. But we got a nice little picture where apparently they choose Spider-Man.
Ah, interesting.
And at first I was like, I don't know. But then I thought, well, like he said in the book on that page, octopus isn't the only thing with 8 arms. And I was like, well, yeah. Another one I got was this one. Of course, these are from last week. So, I mean.
So is that the one with Spider-Boy in? Like,
yeah, he's
like a recurring character in Spider-Man.
Apparently, right now he is. I hear a rumor that they're doing a Spider-Boy. He's supposed to get his own book. And I hate to say,
I am reading that, but I'm reading it on the app. So it's like 6 months behind on the app. So it's really slow.
But I hate to admit it, but he's slowly growing on me.
Okay.
But I mean, he's probably not the best character in the world, but hey Manny, how you doing? And Mr. Kenneth Bird, I hope you enjoyed your package I got you for the 200 giveaway. He got his in. I've got two more packages I got to send out. One to Scott, which was not connected to the giveaway. We did some wheeling and dealing. I gave him one of the first print Spider-Man 7 with the Spider Boy on the cover.
Right. Yeah.
And we're trading. And I threw in a bunch of other books. Here we go. We got Trev.
Always a pleasure, sir. Can't get my bow tie straight. This is anarchy.
Continuing on of my pickups, this is the only facsimile I picked up. Now, I know they did a Hulk 181 this week, which actually I picked up the Hulk 181 facsimile when they did it last time. However, if I could have gotten a hold of one of those foily ones, I probably would have, but none of my LCSs close to me had it. So, all right, so back issues. Got this one in the mail yesterday. I bought it during #Turok Week that was going on in Instagram. So I got me a nice chromium cover of Turok #1. And these last two I got from my LCS B&B collections. This is a special issue of Conan the Barbarian king size. I bought that for the cover and the cover alone.
It's a pretty awesome cover, to be fair, though.
Yes, it is.
That's a banger.
And the last book I bought, I know you're going to appreciate this one, Doctor. I'm going back into my Transformers run, and I've got a lot of them that are beat up from the first 50 issues. This is my favorite issue of Transformers. It's my favorite story of the series because it involves Starscream, and Starscream's my favorite Transformer.
Right.
So I got me another copy of Transformers issue 50.
Yeah.
This was the last.
That's the one where he murders loads of characters, isn't he?
Oh yeah, he slaughters just about everybody.
Yeah.
And it was the last part of the Underbase saga. Like I said, I think it was issues, 47 through 50 was the Underbase saga. If you get a chance to read them, they're really good. And I was looking at this thing, going over it, I try to grade these things. I'm not a professional grader, but I looked at this thing going, it looks good on its own, but I'm going to give it a clean and a press, and I may actually send that one off to get graded because I love it. Seems we got a couple others popped up. Let's see here. We got Mike, Evil's Comics. What's going on, Mike?
Legend.
Oh, I forgot to mention we got DVH.
I'm everywhere.
You're everywhere you want to be, or you're everywhere you need to be.
Exactly.
Fanboy Prime. And we've got, where is he? I just saw him. We got my man Derrz.
That's very unsplashy for Derrz. You would think there'd be more splashing involved.
Yeah. All right. We got my buddy Greg Ellis. Now, I mentioned getting my books cleaned and pressed. He's the guy that does them. He cleans all and presses all of my books. And Simon asked Fanboy Prime asked if Simon Furman is the writer on that Transformer book. Let me look. Says the writer is Dave. No, it's the inker. Hold on.
I would think it'd be a bit early for Simon Furman.
Bob Budiansky.
Yeah, because Simon Furman did the UK run whenever they did original stories in the UK, and then he went across to Marvel proper, as it were, in the US and carried on from there.
We hold on. 23 Monk says hey, and Trev says we need a Hoot symbol so he can be where he's needed always.
I love it. That's a great idea.
That is awesome. So that is my pickups for, I guess you call it a new comic book day. It was more of a, I don't know, man. It was more of a half and half.
I get the bulk of my new Comic Day books delivered, so they just turn up, and I just put them at the back of the queue to open.
Yeah.
In my unboxing, so I haven't got new Comic Book Day stuff, but I do have a few things that are interesting because I did a bunch of unboxings earlier. So there's one that Mark will especially appreciate. He's in the chat, Legion.
Let me put you in the spotlight, and you can.
Oh, where am I going? Oh, hang on. I reach behind me and hope I don't drop everything on the floor.
And if anybody's wondering, I read a lot of the night. I read just about all the Night Terrors online, but I didn't buy anything because I'm holding out for the trades. My personal opinion, and it's just mine, is when it comes to events, I wait for the trades. I'm gonna do the same thing with Carnage Reigns and a lot of the Symbiote stuff as well.
So my exclusive that I did.
I wish I could have I wish I could have bought one.
Well, I mean, I've still got some. Just give it time. I'll keep on to the side for you, Tony. But the company, Black Rose Publishing, they do Kickstarters more or less every month for one. And I apparently spent a bunch of money, and I got a little stack of variant covers for a book called Freeman, which this is the Virgin variant for it. And it's got
that is nice.
Vampire on it. She's rather fetching. I enjoy the moon. I'm all about the moon. Yeah,
that's a big moon.
It is a big moon. There's a pair of big moons, and that's the sort of non-bloody version of it. You see, and I just unboxed these today, having completely forgotten I bought them. So there's those.
Those are beautiful.
They're really nice covers. I like them a lot. But the main thing, the important thing, and I'm just destroying one of my own videos by showing this. You should know. But I respect you, Tony. And because you brought out the goods earlier, it was sort of a shots fired. And I was like, I've got to match that, and I bought this.
Oh, nice. That's pretty.
Torok one in a 9.8. It's amazing. It's so funny because Mrs. Von Hoot was like, "Why did you buy Torok? Just because they're talking about it all the time, that kind of thing." And I was like, "No, you don't understand. Torok. I've had Torok all my life practically, and this is the most important of the Torok books. It's shiny up here. It's shiny up here, and there's a billion of them." And then I whipped it out, and she was like, "Oh, he's a dinosaur hunter. I get it now. It's shiny and he's a dinosaur hunter. Why wouldn't you buy it?" So it gets the Mrs. Von Hoot seal of approval as well. So,
all right. I'm going to show this
where I am today.
I'm holding out for maybe one week. We'll do NFL Super Pro week. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. One day. I mean, to be fair, the Super Pro stuff doesn't really translate to the Spiral Dimension very well. Like, I mean, I've got appreciation for it in that it's quite novel, but it's probably not going to be my cup of tea. And yes, that is a Mega Supreme back here. Like, somebody mentioned that in the chat. Yeah, he's a beast. He's a big boy. I love him very much. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, there's always stuff lying around, but that's part of the stuff I unboxed today. Although I should say, if you have a look over here, there is a Retro Rocket Comics sticker, because I got an AOK in the post from Retro Rocket Comics, and it was amazing. Like when the video goes up, probably Monday or Tuesday, it blew my mind with the fun stuff that they put in it. Like, they've tailored it very well for this particular Mal, if you put it that way.
I'll definitely check it out.
Yeah, awesome.
Mike said Night Terrors has been good so far. I agree. I've read all of it online, and I've enjoyed it. It has surprised me. I like the fact that the single, like the Night Terror's Batman or Flash or whatever. They're good stories, but they're not tied into. I mean, you don't have to if you don't want to buy them, you don't have to buy them, but they're good books.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the Green Lantern one. The Zatanna one was real good. Hell, even the Robin one surprised me. I enjoyed it. The main storyline, what was it? The Night Terror's First Blood in the first issue. Those were really good.
I did the First Blood and the first issue and the Batman one. That's as far as I've read, because I'm reading on the DC app and that's what's available so far. So,
but yeah, I'm looking. Like I said,
it's good.
I've got them. I've got them on my trade. I'm already planning on picking them up when they hit trades, and so I'm looking forward to that. And before I forget, I want to say hi to Joseph Michaels. He's been a tremendous supporter of the channel from day
good
one.
Dude.
And Mike said hello, nurse. I guess that was when you were showing the moons.
Yeah, it might have been that. Yeah.
But I mean, as far as books, that's all I've got. I've got a couple packages, like I said, for Scott and Matt over on Comics by the Bay. I'm going to hopefully get them sent out Friday, but bills have been kicking my butt. It is what it is, and I thank them for being
I'm just
patient.
stood here, and I've got this.
Oh wow!
Just right next to me, and I have 17 of them. I bought them when I was about, I don't know, 19. Like it was a clearance sale, and I never got round to selling them. So they're just all stuck next to me right now. So I need to start thinking about giving these away.
I'll take one.
Yeah, you can have one. Believe me. I paid. Hang on, there's a price on one of them. Yeah, I paid £1.49 for it. And like BTs, like you guys won't know BTs, but they were a chain of toy stores in the UK way back in the day, and that's a genuine BT sticker on that. That's just silly. Yeah, I need to get rid of them, so I should give them away. Derrz will have one as well. Like I'll send one to Derrz.
I agree, Mike. Black Adam was good.
Yeah, I like Black Adam as well. I think it got a hard. I mean, to be fair, I don't have any history of the Black Adam character at all. I don't think I've ever read him. So when I saw the movie, I was just like, well, this is a fun action movie. Like that, and that's what it is. Mm-hmm. You know.
Well, I haven't watched the movie itself. I think he's referring to the Night Terrors because they did a Black Adam Night Terrors.
Oh, right, with you. Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm going to be honest with you.
I heard that was brutal. Like the stuff. Yeah, I need to read that when it's on the app. I'll be jumping on it.
And that's probably the first Black Adam comic I've ever read, and I was like, "Whoa, this is pretty good." But I gotta thank Mark because normally most of my DC reading was very little, but I watched Mark over at Legion of Comics, and he's talking about all the new stuff, and I mean, hell, now I'm reading Green Arrow, Green Lantern, The Flash. I've always been reading Batman, and I picked up the new Superman and the Titans, and I've been enjoying them. I mean, I got more. For me, growing up collecting comics, always been a Marvel guy, but I've got more DC on my pool than I do Marvel.
Well, it's an interesting one from my perspective because as a kid, I was absolutely a Marvel guy and didn't look at DC ever. And then I went into, it was the late 90s, like mid 90s sort of era. So I was an Image kid for, Spawn and all the sort of like metal stuff that you got back in the 90s-ish era. And it was amazing. Like it was a great era because I don't like reading particularly. I like pictures and it was all about the art. So back then, I'm a much better reader now. And then around the Court of Owls time, I bought the trade of Court of Owls, and then I became obsessed with pretty much all things DC. So DC is by far and away my favorite of the different, companies that you can, and it's consistent now as well. Like DC's amazing at the moment compared to Marvel's putting out.
Yeah, and I mean, what is it? You pay an extra buck, you get cardstock covers. I mean, hey,
100%. You really get the bang for your buck. The only, if I was a little bit of a criticism with all the variant covers, I would quite like them to have something to do with the book.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I
like, it would be nice if they were sort of tied in a little bit more to the narrative. But otherwise, they're amazing. Some of the art is just mind blowing. So,
Trev says Court of Owls is the best Batman. I'm going to make an admission right now. I have not read Court of Owls. I guess I need to read it.
Wow.
I picked up that run at like issue 20 something, and I guess I need to read it. And
you sort of missed the best bit. like I like that run quite a bit, but the Court of Owls is boop, good, like mind blowing.
And Fanboy really Prime says your stock is rising.
I don't know about that, but definitely Court of Owls all the way.
Trev says Marvel's paper quality is ass, and I will 100% agree.
Marvel's paper quality always seems to be ass, like forever. Maybe I don't. Maybe not in the 80s. I don't know. I've got it, but I couldn't compare it to anything else. Well, but I remember in the 90s, like they spent a lot of money on the foily goodness. I'll give them that. There was foily goodness back in the 90s.
Oh, but,
there was some also terrible paper quality.
I got to tell you, because we all know 90s was the birth of the gimmick covers, whether they be foil or chromium or whatever. There was a guy in the 90s. He was a local guy here in Arkansas, and he made his own comic. And the superhero, I can't even tell you the name of the guy, but he was burnt, kind of like Spawn. And as a gimmick, it came polybagged with a little piece of beef jerky, saying that was that character's flesh.
That's amazing. Like that's a great gimmick. I really want to find one of those still bagged, and I want to see what its skin looks like now.
I bet it's green.
Well, I'm not eating it, to be clear.
No. But Evil Mike said Endgame all day, baby, and 0 Hour too. I remember reading the 0 Hour crossover in DC. I still got it, loved it. Believe it or not, my favorite or my first DC crossover from the 80s was Millennium. It was a small crossover. It went, I think it was weekly, and it was pretty decent. But yeah, I mean, I liked it. And then of course, only just a few years ago, I was able to finally get Crisis on Infinite Earths and read it. So
yeah, that's a good one. I think I only read it I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. So like I'm the same. Like I was way out of like I said, as a kid, didn't even look at DC. So it was just nothing to it.
Fanboy says gimme 90s gimmicks covers all day. Manny says snap into some flesh.
I love a gimmick.
And I think Trev may be referring to the Millennium storyline. And then Trev also mentioned that all the DC Crisis events. Now, I haven't read every Crisis event. I read Identity Crisis, Final Crisis. I don't think I read no, I didn't read Final Crisis. I read Identity Crisis. I didn't read the Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths, although I keep saying I'm going to. But
I should let you know that I've just had a warning saying that my phone is draining a battery like really hard, and I don't know why. Shouldn't be. But if I disappear, that's why. Everybody in the chat. Let's hope not. But that's why.
Well, I guess we might as well get into our topic of discussion.
Yeah.
And that is, should movies and televisions determine the value of comics? Now, the reason why, for me personally, I thought of this. I mean, there's a lot of good examples of this. I mean, you'll see you'll see them mention that, insert character here is going to be an insert movie here, and I mean the book just skyrockets.
Yeah,
And
crazy.
some of them take off, some of them don't. I'll use Taskmaster as an example. When they announced that he was going to be in the Black Widow movie, that his first appearance was a book that I always wanted to get, and I was able to actually get one for $50 before. I mean, I saw the trailer, seen who it was, went, oh wow, I bought it that night, and then like the next day it just skyrocketed. Of course, the movie come out, and now it's back to $50, $60 for a copy. But you see that a lot where some books will take off and stay, and some will just drop as soon as the movies come out. And then, like, for example, this kind of burnt me up a little bit, but I don't know why. I've been meaning to buy Daredevil Born Again, and before before they announced the TV show, I've had plenty of times to buy it. I didn't buy it. That's on me. Because I could have got a set for like $40. Now you try to get a set now and forget about it. I mean, well, I think there may be like $100 or so, but I'm just waiting now for the series to be done, and then I'll pick them up because I figured they'll drop. But personally, for me, I think that a book, book's value should be determined on the book itself. I mean, you got loads of classic books that could stand on their own. Of course, you got some that probably can't, but I mean,
I agree. I agree in principle, right? In so much as like I think that's probably what it should be, but I also think that that's what's sort of keeping the comic book industry afloat. So that the fear of missing out and driving people towards different things that might or might not be in films is keeping it in the consciousness of a lot of people. And because they think they can make money, there's a lot of turnaround with buying books. And I think it's preventing it from dying quite so quickly. I'm a bit paranoid about the industry going away, and I don't want that. It's terrible.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I mean, I guess I'm trying to think of what to say. You got your books that will stand the test of time. Like I said, your first Supermans, Batmans, Spider-Man, X-Men, all those. Those will stand the test of time, and they'll be around long after we're gone. But
I mean, I will say, like, if you really pay attention, you can sort of tell the ones that are going to actually last in value. Like, as soon as I saw that the Illuminati were going to be a thing, I'd never thought that, like, the Illuminati book was going to continue to be valuable after the one appearance. Because, like, it's a group that don't really matter. It's not the X-Men. Like, there's no massive backstory like of books that matter to people with the Illuminati, and that it was quite pricey for about 15 minutes, and then it settled down a bit, and now it's just a like sort of a cool minor key, like it's worth picking up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mike says, I think FOMO buying is good to a degree, gets those normal folks into books. I can agree with that. I guess to me, one of the drawbacks would be like, I'm trying to think of a good example. Well, let's use Miles Morales for example. You got young kids. I mean, when you're a young kid, you can't afford to pay $1,000 for a comic.
No, yeah.
And so, say this kid walks up into a store. I mean, you can buy. I mean, they make plenty of Miles Morales books that you can pick up. But if he wants that first appearance, 9 times out of 10, he's going to have to buy a facsimile.
Yeah.
If they haven't went up either.
But that's no different to me when I was a kid and wanting the Spider-Man's first appearance. Like, I mean, I couldn't have bought that, but like, it is what it is. And again, I could and did get a facsimile. So,
Yeah. Same here. I'll tell you a story, and this is more of a telling of my ignorance. I wasn't reading. There are periods after 2000s, after I got married, where I read a little bit, I dropped off, picked it up a little bit longer, dropped off again, so forth and so on. And I remember when Ultimate Fallout 4 come out, and they were teasing, this is going to be a big deal. And I went to my local comic shop at the time, walked in there, they had like 10 copies of Ultimate Fallout 4, polybag, ready to go. And they were trying to get me to buy one, and they said, Tony, you like Spider-Man, you need to give this a chance. And I was like, it ain't going to catch on. Nobody's. Yeah. I said, in 2 years, nobody's going to care. So I passed, and I have regretted it ever since.
Yeah, that was a mistake. Like, especially if it was right in front of you.
Yeah,
I had a little bit of a different situation in so much as I was reading trades back then and not buying any raw books. Like, for a long time, I didn't buy raw books. So I heard about Miles, and I thought, well, that's a thing. Like, I really didn't pay any attention to it. And now, of course, I'm kicking myself because I actively collect Miles. So getting that first appearance is going to be, yeah, it's a pickle.
The only heartbreaking thing for me this year was, when Edge of Spider-Verse 2 come out, I bought it off the racks for $4. And the funny thing is the week it come out, where I was buying my books, the lady said, Tony, we don't have any more. I'll get you a second print next week. I said, cool. So the next week I come in, she said, guess what? I had to clear out somebody's file because they wouldn't pay, so I got you a first print. I was like, awesome. So I paid $4 for it. It was one of the first books I sent in to get submitted and graded, and it came back at, I want to say it was a 9.4. I believe that's what it was. But then you time travel to this year, and me working 4 days a week at my job, and the bills are kicking my ass. We got into a little hot water with the bills, and I had to make a decision, so I ended up selling it to pay some bills. And maybe one day down the line I can pick it up again. I don't know, but if I don't, I've got the facsimile, so it's okay. But I have to do what you have to do.
You absolutely did the right thing. I mean, think about it. Realistically speaking, you spent $4 and managed to, get yourself out of some hot water. That's amazing, really, when you think about it. That you can do that with your collection.
Yeah,
and it's a shame, but
and my wife felt bad because I had to do it. I said, yeah, but that's the point, hon. We're all sacrificing. We got to sacrifice for the family.
Yeah.
Because I was like, what's more important, this comic or my family? Family's going to win every time.
Exactly. Being realistic, that's the way it should be.
But who knows? Maybe someday down the road, I might be able to pick up another one. You never know.
Exactly.
And it might be a higher grade.
Yeah. I mean, it could happen. Like, it's entirely possible. That's the thing. There are very few truly untouchable books. Like, I mean, I am never ever getting a Superman 1. For instance,
oh no,
or an Action Comics 15, yeah, you know what I mean. Like, it's just never going to happen. But at the same time, anything, modern-ish era is attainable. I mean, it's expensive sometimes, like really expensive. But if you put your mind to it, you could build up to it. So you could get that book back. It could happen. It just depends whether you want that, really, at the end of the day.
Right. Manny says he hates when comics change to fit the movies. I agree. To a certain extent.
Yeah,
I'll say to a certain extent.
I have and always will believe that comics are the original source material. So, the movies should take their cues from the comics, not the other way around, really.
Yeah.
There's going to be exceptions to that rule, of course. because a good idea is a good idea at the end of the day. So,
well, I'll use Infinity War and Endgame as an example. I love those movies. I love the whole Thanos story. You know, him collecting the reason why he collected gems and all that. But I'm also partial to, you know, anybody that's read the comics for Infinity Gauntlet knows he didn't wipe out half the universe to balance the system, as you would say. He wiped them out to impress a chick.
Yeah.
I mean,
which is, you know, I mean, it's like I actually am just reading that now. It's the first time I ever read it, and it's only because DJ Lynx is banging on about it a few months back. I actually got around to reading it. I'm like, essentially, it's Thanos' whole deal is trying to impress a girl. Like that's the whole crux of the story, which is, you know, it wouldn't translate well to a movie in the modern age or ever. I don't think. Right.
But yeah, because I always remembered a line from the Infinity Gauntlet comic, and you may have gotten to it already. I don't know. I'm trying to remember who he's talking to. He may have been talking to her little servant. I don't remember who, but he talks about his devotion to death, and he says he spends most of his time either loving her, worshiping her, or dealing it out. And I was like, oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
He had an obsession with her.
Yeah, like having, I don't know, it's an interesting one because having just come into that story, I don't know how layered it is like before that, or did they just start it there where like death is a character that Thanos is obsessed with? Well, because if there's a backstory, it would make sense a little bit more, but it just sort of seems to come out of like it just is in the book.
I don't know when death first appeared in Marvel Comics. Maybe somebody can tell me. But I know as far back as Secret Wars 2, there was an issue in there where this guy wished death to die, and she drank something and dies, and for a while death doesn't exist and drives Mephisto crazy, and then something at the end of the book. At the end of the book, that person becomes turns into death, even though it's a male character. I guess when he turned into death, he became the female character again.
Right.
Mark over at Legion of Comics says Thanos is trying to bang Skeletor the whole time. Let's get real. That movie wouldn't go over as well.
Facts. I mean that sums it up, doesn't it? Really?
Yeah. And Mike says, "Yep," and Deadpool stole her. Mark says Death's first appearance was in the Bible, I think, maybe Genesis. He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
Yeah.
It says, let's see. Mike also says they filled on the backstop with Death and Thanos later. Okay. But I guess at the end of the day, maybe movie spec's a good thing. I don't know. Especially, I guess, if it turns on new readers, you can't go wrong with if you can get people to read. It's never a bad thing.
Well, I think it excites people. I think that's the important thing. Like it doesn't matter how you get there, but if you can get there and get people to be excited about something, it's always better for a business to have people excited around something, and that's the bottom line. In as much as like I would prefer it to be just what's in the book that matters, like that isn't reality at the end of the day. And also, I mean, from my own perspective, I sort of feel like, I mean, I like first appearances, I like first cover appearances, so you know that, like, I understand why they would be worth more. Like it just makes sense, and the movies are just an offshoot of that same thought process. If the fact that like Captain Carter was in the What If made that book explode, even though it had been completely meaningless before then. Nobody thought about it at all, and then suddenly, poof! I mean, I say explode. It's only like went from a $2 book to a $15 book, but that's a big markup out of nowhere, and it's a cool character. So like that's a good thing, right? And it establishes the character as mattering as well, which is an important point.
I'm gonna post a few comments here. Mark says that movie spec is really just the market driving it. Movies are just giant commercials for comics. If they're good, it gets more people involved. I agree. Mike says, I think it shows that you get new readers from movie properties and shows. Yeah. Fanboy Prime says, I honestly don't believe there are many new readers, though. Well, that could be debatable, but probably true.
That is an issue, though. But then that's always been an issue. Everybody has always talked about where are the fans going to come from, and they seem to turn up eventually. So, it's going to happen.
And my buddy Greg says that Death's first appearance is Journey into Mystery #1 from 1972. Okay, that's pretty cool. And then we got Mike again saying, there are Facebook, look what COVID did. Can't think how many times I've heard people getting back into the hobby because they were at home. This is true because I got back into the hobby right when COVID hit. And then we got Mark saying, I'm a big DC fan. Movies don't drive that market. LOL, not yet. If movies start pumping DC comics, I'll be rich.
Yeah, I think you actually will be, because sooner or later, the DC universe will... I say universe. I really don't like that term. It doesn't need to be that. It doesn't need to be like a, all enveloped multi-narrative strand. It just needs to be good movies coming out over and over again. And people will be like, oh, I want that book. I want that book. And then you will be minted eventually, Mark. Yeah, it will happen.
And Kenneth says, I like your comic books you sent me and the giveaway I won from you. I'm glad you liked them, Kenneth. I hope you appreciate, or I hope you liked it. Apparently you liked them. Now I'm going to go back to a comment my buddy Tim made. So this is going to be another confession for me. Says, I definitely know Tony is miffed at what they did with Taskmaster in the MCU. Okay, growing up in the 80s, I've always loved Taskmaster from his first appearance. I loved anytime he showed up, whether it was in one of the Spider-Man books when Mary Jane was kidnapped. Spider-Man ends up trouncing one of his schools trying to find her, or Captain America 334, where he trains John Walker how to use the shield. I've always been a big fan of Tony Masters. And so when they announced that Taskmaster, when I seen that trailer of Black Widow and seen Taskmaster in it, I was like, holy shit, this is what I've been waiting on. And so me and my brother Jeremy go to the movies, we watching it, and I'm loving it. I love the movie. And I'm getting into it and everything. And of course they take off the helmet. Now I tried not to show how I felt. I was trying to keep it inside. I turned around and look at my brother Jeremy, and he's just got this look of absolute shock on his face. And I went, what? He said, I'll tell you later. So we watched the movie, and I enjoyed it. Like I said, I enjoyed the Black Widow movie. And we walked out of there. He said, dude, when they took that helmet off of her, you look like somebody shot your kids. And I went, really? I thought I was hiding it. He went, no, you were not hiding it.
Tremendous. I mean, that's pretty much how everybody felt about the Judge Dredd movie in the 90s. It's the exact same reaction. Everybody hated the helmet coming off.
And it's
to be honest, Taskmaster isn't a character I've ever particularly cared about or anything. So it's like I didn't. None of that bothered me. What bothered me was they sort of just made the character not matter. And that's the important thing. The character didn't matter in that movie. And it sort of was like, okay, it's just a waste. You've got a really good character and just throw it down the toilet.
Yeah. My buddy Greg says, being a run guy, I don't factor in television series and movies. I'm just going to buy regardless. Y'all, he's got a really awesome collection. That's all I'm going to say. But going back to what you said about Judge Dredd, I knew of Judge Dredd. I never read any Judge Dredd comics, so when I watched the Stallone movie, I enjoyed it. I still enjoy it. And then I
Yeah,
read
no,
some.
so do I. Honestly, like I think the Stallone movies is like, I mean, it's a Stallone movie at the end of the
Yeah,
day. That's what it is. Like, and
yeah,
like, I enjoy a Stallone movie as much as the next guy. It's just, it's not a
yeah,
great Judge Dredd movie, but it is a Stallone movie, so it's still pretty watchable.
yeah. And,
As
and
you know,
in the 2000s, I got to actually read some comics and realize, hey, he never takes his helmet off.
yeah,
And
yeah,
and then when I realized that he had never taken his helmet off, I went, oh, okay, that wasn't right. And then I watched
yeah.
the remake with oh God, who was it that did him
Carl
in the
Urban.
remake? Carl Urban.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I loved that remake.
Oh, it's great. It's a really, really, really good film. I was really disappointed that the Netflix show that they were planning to do, Mega City One, never happened. Like, because we need more Judge Dredd in the world. But oh well.
And I was really looking forward to one day seeing Judge Death. I mean,
Yeah, exactly that kind of thing. Like, it would be thrilling if it got. I don't know. I think part of the problem is the not necessarily the comic geek audience. I think the American comic geek audience is pretty aware of Judge Dredd, but I'm still not sure that like it is in pop culture so well, which is probably why we didn't ultimately get anything past the Dredd film, which is a real shame because it was a banging film. I mean, it's like, I haven't watched it in ages. I need to watch that again. Like, it's a cracker.
I was going to say, of course, for me, when it comes to Carl Urban, I'm a little biased. I love just about everything he's done, all
Yeah.
the way back from when he played Cupid and Julius Caesar in the Xena show. So I mean,
Oh wow, I didn't know that. I have
yeah,
learned something today.
yeah,
Mm.
I knew he played Julius Caesar, but I'm pretty sure he also played Cupid because, of course, they had a lot of actors in Xena that played multiple roles. Of course, Lucy Lawless did. Kevin Smith, rest in peace, he did. There was a lot. I mean, I
Yeah,
still,
I
I'm just,
never
yeah.
really watched those shows. It's one of those things. They were on, like, we had them here and everything, but I sort of saw them on and was just, yeah, it wasn't for me. I don't think.
And unfortunately, my favorite character of both shows, Hercules and Xena, passed away. I forgot what year it was, and that was Kevin Smith, who played Ares.
Right.
And I forgot what year it was. I think it was early 2000s when he passed away. And I always heard him talk about like rebooting Xena or something like that. And I'm like, y'all are not going to find an Ares like him. Never.
Yeah, it's a shame because there was a huge, I presume there still is, like, a huge fan base for that. Like the
Oh
Hercules and Xena shows, particularly Xena, because I
yeah.
mean, she was awesome. Like,
Oh yeah.
so I get it. I understand the appeal. It's a shame that they haven't managed to capitalize that into moving it forward. Like, there's room. I was thinking just the other day, and this is a tangent. I've been
All right.
watching the A-Team again at work,
Oh yeah.
and it still holds up, but it just gets me thinking, like, why has there not been another A-Team TV show? I know they did that
Yeah.
one movie, but it sort of suits a procedural TV show, so why not do it again? It's been 30 years. Seems odd.
Yeah. I mean, they brought back Magnum PI. So in
Yeah,
Hawaii
yeah,
5
exactly.
So
That's what I was thinking. So exactly the same thought process. And you've got the Quantum Leap thing that's getting some pretty good reviews from what I hear. And like, there's room for bringing stuff back all the time. Like, Xena could work, for instance,
yeah.
again now, and there's a massive market for it because people loved that show. I didn't,
Oh yeah.
but people did. I mean, it's
Yeah, I was gonna say I still break out the DVDs every now and then because I've got the full seasons of Hercules, Xena, and Highlander. I pride myself on my Hercules set because I bought the season one, or actually my wife bought all these, but I got the season one where it came with the five. With Hercules they had like five movies. I believe it was five that
all right.
that pre-started before season one. I can't name them all, but one of them was like Hercules and the Amazon Women, and there were like four others. I don't remember, but I think Lucy Lawless was in the one with the Amazon Women before she was Xena.
So they were Kevin Sorbo as Hercules still.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
so
the
they
first,
actually led into the first series. Okay,
yeah,
I didn't know that at
and
all. That's interesting.
the variation of the first box set season 1 DVD had all 13 episodes of the series in the 5 movies.
Right.
And now when you buy a volume 1 of season 1, they don't come with the movies.
Yeah, it just starts at the first. Yeah, I could see that happening for sure.
Trev says bring
Interesting.
back Lucy Lawless all day, every day.
Yeah, she's great, isn't she? She was in Ash versus the Evil Dead was the last thing I saw her in, and she was awesome in it. Really
Oh
great.
yeah, I and believe it or not, my favorite female character from Xena has and will always be Callisto. Hudson Leak was just, oh man.
I mean, I'll take your word for it.
Well,
I remember Xena, and there was a girl that hung around Xena. That's all I can remember from Xena.
well,
So
real fast origin. She Xena, when Xena was evil, she attacked her village. Her cohorts burned it down. She lost her family, and she basically turned evil. She trained to be like Xena. She was Xena's equal. Basically, she's an evil Xena. And somewhere down the line, she ends up becoming a goddess. She actually kills a god in an episode. And she says one of my favorite lines is when she kills that god, he's saying something like, I just want to be the first to welcome you to the club. And she turns around and looks at him and goes, I wouldn't want to be a member of a club that would have me as a member. And then kills him.
nice.
But yeah, I've always loved that character. But and you got to watch the musical episode too, because yes, there is a musical episode.
Oh, I love a good musical, so yeah, I will look for that actively.
It's
That
called
sounds great.
okay. It's called The Bittersweet. But before you just launch into the musical, you got to watch the episode before it that ties into what's going on. Now, if you watch the show, there's a lot of backstory because those 2 episodes deal with Xena and Gabrielle mostly in their relationships, and then the bittersweet happens, and then you find out. I mean, I don't want to say too much because of spoilers, but they end up at each other's throats trying to kill each other.
Right.
And the bittersweet is one particular character trying to bring them back together. And that's all I'm going to say. Like I said, I don't want to spoil it. I know there's people in the comments that's probably seen it and knows exactly what I'm talking about. But and then I'm going to put it on here. Trev says, yes, fantasy. Love Dungeons and Dragons. Hopefully that'll be a lasting franchise. Amen. I love that movie.
I still haven't seen it. I need to do that because it looks great and everybody seems to love it. So yeah, I should try and get on that.
Being a guy, me playing, I played D&D for 20 years, so all the familiar little Easter eggs are there. You just have to notice them. And I spent like the first time I watched the movie, I was like picking out everything. I'm noticing everything. There's a callback to the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon from the 80s. I mean, just all these little things, and I loved it. But I will also go on record saying that I actually like the other Dungeons and Dragons movies too. I didn't think they were that great, but I still enjoyed them because the first one had Jeremy Irons and Bruce Payne in it, so I love them. But this one was more for the fans. I mean,
yeah.
If you ever rolled your dice and played D&D, you're gonna love it. And
yeah, I've played a little bit of D&D, so yeah, that would be, I at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter as long as it's a fun, good story. Like
exactly.
Yeah. So I mean, I just need to get around to it. Really, it's on my list of things to do.
I think you'll like it.
Yeah, I think I will, for sure.
And then we got Big Medieval Gap as far as TV and movies. Need more. Come on, Red Sonja.
Yeah, when is Red Sonja happening? They were shooting it ages ago, weren't they?
This is the first time hearing of it.
Yeah, I swear they were shooting it. Unless I completely. Yeah, I swear that they cast somebody and then had when they're on set photos. I don't know. Maybe I'm just making it up. I don't know. Could be.
I know.
I remember it being a little bit controversial because she didn't seem like Red Sonja, like on face value, whoever they cast. But I'm butchering this because it was ages ago. I don't know.
But well, Doc, that's all I've got. I mean, you want to tell everybody what you got coming up, or?
Well, in theory, I'll have a video out tomorrow. I did a bunch of unboxings today, and I would think Tuesday maybe for another video, and then Friday. And one of them's the Retro Rocket one, which was amazing. So it's definitely worth watching that one, which is, it's amazing to me that somebody would send not only stuff to me, but like stuff for the Badger and Mrs. Von Hoot. It's really cool. It's a great community to be involved with, and it just makes you happy, doesn't it? Like,
yeah, nice. I love watching the videos with you and Badger or Mrs. Von Hoot. I love those.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that. I'm sort of I want to do different things, but I still really like the thing that we do.
Yeah.
And yes, I did just say do. So, that's the plan.
Well, the only thing I got coming up is I'm working on the next spotlight, which is Uncanny X-Men 266, which is, I call it the first full appearance of Gambit. That is debatable with the X-Men Annual 14 because I know the Annual came out before Uncanny X-Men 266. So, but anyway, that's going to be the book I'm spotlighting. Hopefully, if my internet don't go out again, it'll be out Friday. I'm filming that coverless comics thing. I'm still got to get that filmed. I'm making some shorts. So as far as content, that's it. Next Saturday, I'm actually going to leave the topic open. I'm not going to pick a particular topic. Hell, I may, if the chat wants to ask me questions about my comic collecting or anything, I may just do a Q&A. So, I mean, and if anybody wants to hop on, they can. Because I like to keep it open. And I guess, of course, at the end of the month, July 31st, I turned half a century. So.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
But now, as far as content goes, that's what's on deck. Tonight, of course, is I'm getting the crew together to play Dungeons and Dragons.
Nice.
Last episode when we played, I teased that I was going to put them through hell. I thought I almost did. My buddy Tim said the one thing that all DMs love to hear, because especially when you're wondering whether or not you're going easy on the party and you're not really sure, he said, "I thought you were going to put us through hell." I went, "Okay, it's on now."
Challenge accepted.
I was like, y'all have no idea, because when they were going from point A to point B, I think they had like one encounter. Now they're leaving their point A and going to the next point B, and they've already had at least one or two encounters, and they're not even there yet. They're just like a quarter of the way. There's still we may spend this whole session and them not even get to where they're going. And as a fun random thing, I got this off of TikTok. My daughter has a Cards Against Humanity deck, so when I go for random encounters, I'm gonna pull a card out of the deck, and that's gonna be the random encounter.
Nice.
But yeah, Tim's the guy. This is the guy I was talking about. My buddy Tim. He says, coincidentally, you're talking about Red Sonja, and I noticed earlier today is Brigitte Nielsen's 60th birthday. So happy birthday, wow. Brigitte.
Yeah.
But that's all I got. Doc, I want to thank you for hanging out with me. I really do appreciate it. I want to thank everybody in the chat. I love you guys. Thanks for supporting the channel. And we're going to get out of here, and we'll see y'all next week for episode 4 of Into the Comiverse. And I'll see you.